In this video, I will show you how to take the next steps on your combat robot. So last time we left, we had the chassis built and it looked somewhat similar to this, where you have the chassis and the motor mount on each side. Now, you see there's a little bit of issue before we move on. You see how there's a joint right here, but there's no joint right over on the other side. I forgot to do a joint. Even if you mirror, the joint will not be there. So you see how this side, the wheel guard will not be able to be moved. But if I turn around and try to move this, you see how it comes off, right? But on the other side, if I try to drag it, it doesn't come off. So first thing I want to do is make sure that I fix that. So let's go to electronics. Let's make sure you click on the electronics, and you see how now I'm on electronics, and then I'm going to make sure that motor mount is jointed. So meaning it's glued. So I'm gonna go to assemble and then joint, and then I'm going to control select the middle until you get that center thing, and then put on the other side, use control select as well to the middle, right, like that. And now you see now there's a joint. Now if I try to move it, it doesn't come off. Okay, now today's goal is to put all the other electronics. So how do you do that? Well, so you're on your hub, the hub that you created. Now let's go to the hub that I created. But by the way, before I do that, I'm gonna control save, control S, control and press down control and S together. And then go to the hub that I created called BattleBots and get the resources. Let's go to CAD resources folder and get all the electronics to go with your design. So today we need the motor mount, so I'm going to open that up. Press open, right click and open, and then file, export to your downloads. You see how, and make sure the file type is step files, step. So I put that into my download, and then I also need so I need that motor right here, and I need this PD board, power board version 1.3. so I'm gonna open that. I'm gonna close the motor now. Open the power board. This is a power board. You need this. So I'm going to file, export, and put it on the downloads, and make sure it's a step file. And then also I want the wheels, but wheels, there's different kinds of wheels. Since it's a I'm doing a two wheel robot, I'm gonna go with the 2-inch. The way you know how big the wheels are is, you see how it says this is 1 and 5/8 inches. This is 1/7/8. This is a hub that you need. We're going to get that file too. This is 2-inch, 2 and 7/8 inches. These are the pretty big wheels. This is the biggest one, I think 3 inches and 7/8. So I'm gonna go with the 2-inch wheel, which is standard. So I'm gonna open that up. I'm going to close the power board. Let me close the power board. Double click on the wheel that's 2 inches, main bar wheel, and then file, export, and put it into downloads as a set file. And then the last thing I need is the wheel hub. So you need this hub to put the wheels on. So I'm going to say file, export this one too. File, export as a step file. Now all the files are there. Now I'm going to go back to my own student hub, my own hub, not the BattleBots one. and then start uploading these things into the folder. So how do you do that? Go to upload and then select files, and you can select all of these things right here. You see how you can control select all at once and say upload, and then pull this up so you can see where the upload is. You see how it was like this, so you drag it up, and then location is BattleBot, the project that I want to put it on, BattleBot project. I say upload, and then it will just upload over there. Okay, so they have uploaded all the materials. Now go back to the chassis that you were on, your actual robot chassis. Double click, and then make sure you're on electronics. Don't go to the parent folder, make sure you're in electronics, and let's start putting this in. The first thing I will do is I will drag and drop the motor. So you see now the motor is there. You see how I can pick it up. First thing I should do is, go click on this arrow thing, the drop down arrow, and you see how the motor is made up of many different parts. You see how it's, there's different parts of the motor. You see this is the component for motor, right? I'm going to make sure that it's all right now. You see how if I right click on it, I can say that this is a rigid group, meaning that the parts that make up the motor, because there's so many different parts that make up a motor. If you don't do that, you see how let me go back. So right now, right, you see how this part of the motor, you see this part of the motor can separate from the other part, right? You see how when you move it, it moves together, but you don't want it to separate. So what you want to do is, right, you want to right click and make a rigid group, meaning that it is all one piece. But before you actually do that, before you make it a rigid group, let's move it in place. So cancel. So right now you see how the motor is there, and then you can click on it and right click to move. What I want to do is I want to move it into the position. So you see how move type, you can say point to point move. I can use that because this point need to be like the center of, you see how I'm trying to get to the center of this thing. So I'm gonna put right here. That's okay. Once you do that, I can right click on the you see this is on the electronics, right? Right click on the motor, and then again say move, so I can move it a little bit further, and just go to free move and push it up until it's kind of like that. You see how you can see it's right up against that chassis. Press OK. Once you do that, now what you want to do is you want to make sure that it doesn't separate. So what I'll do is I will right click and make it a rigid group, meaning that all the components that make up the motor stay locked together. So if you try to move it later on, it will be treated as single object. So I'm going to make it a rigid group. Press yes, press OK. So this whole thing is now rigid, and after you make it a rigid, you know what you could do, since I don't want the motor to come up like this, I'm gonna make it a joint. So how do you do that? You can go here and say J, and then select this component. You see how I went up like that? The top of the shaft with control select the center of that. So like that. You see how now once I do that, you will see that the whole thing will move together instead of just the shaft moving. Okay, you see now it's an actual joint, but I need to edit the joint because I moved the motor too much. So I'm gonna go and say edit. You see I right click the edit joint, and then instead of moving it as much, I'm going to say that maybe I should move it just a little bit less, like that. That would make sense. It's okay. Now you can see that, oh, that looks good because it fits inside that hole. And if you want to get a better look, go to the parent folder to see everything, and you can kind of see that it fits perfectly where it should, and it's jointed, meaning it's glued, because the motor shouldn't be able to come off like that, right? So we did that, and then let's also copy the same thing for the other side. So go to electronics, and let's say press S, and then put mirror, and then under the type of mirror that you want to do, go to component, and then select the motor, and then mirror plane. I want to select this plane, press OK, and let's see. So this looks like, let's see if this moves now. So I mirrored it, but I want to see if you see the motor move. You see just now. So I want to make sure that I'll make this into a rigid body too. So let's go back, and then you see the motor, right? Let's say I move this out of the way a little bit to see if this is jointed, it's glued. See it right now, there's a press OK. You can see that there's a joint. This motor mount is glued, but this motor is not glued. So first thing we want to do is we want to move it in place exactly how it was, like that, right? And then I'm going to make this a rigid body, the motor, so it doesn't come off. And then we can move it into place. So I'm gonna right click on it and make it actually, let me just move it back a little bit. So right click and say move, free move. You see how this is free move? Just move it back up. That's okay. And then I'm going to make this a rigid body. So let's put rigid body. Rigid group, I mean. Capture position. Press OK. And then now it will move together, and then go to under assemble, joint, and then select the tip of the motor, and then as the first component, and then select the center of the, use the control select to hover over and select the middle of the motor mount, and then maybe pull it up a little bit because you know that it's gonna sit like this, and press OK. Now you see how it will not come off because it's a joint. So now everything is there. Now I need to put the hub. You see how this piece over here is called the hub, T81 hub. So grab it and then put it in here. I'm gonna move it up, and then also I'm going to grab this wheel and put it up here too. So you see how I'm gonna move both pieces. Press OK. Then move this piece. It's under now. That's the hub. Move, and I'm gonna move it right here. I want to move it so that these two are glued together too, because the hub and the wheel need to get glued. So how do you do that? You have to do a joint again here. So how do you do that? You go to assemble, go to joint, and then let's say that this is my first component, and then that's my second component. So they glued like that, like this. You see how the hub goes inside the wheel. Press OK. Now wheel and the hub are glued together. Now I want to glue that, not glue, but attach it as a joint, but that revolves, so the body can move. So how do you do that? So let's go to assemble again, and let's go to joint and say this. What do I want to join? I want to join this and that. But the type of joint I want to do is not rigid, revolute. And then it's a z-axis revolute. And press OK. So once you do that, look at that. You see the wheel starts spinning. You can do that. Revolute means you can spin it. And now you can do the same thing on the other side. Let's put Control S. Control S to save. But let's get the wheel on the other side as well. So how do you do that? S for a shortcut, and then go to mirror and capture position, and then put components. I want to mirror this component. No, not this component. Select here and select there, and mirror plane. Select this plane. That's OK. And only problem is that these two are not glued together. So I'm going to glue that first. And then we can attach the rotation simulation. So let's just glue these two together first. How do you do that? Go to Assemble, Joint, press this as the first, this as the second. So they get glued. Oh, this is not. So this type is not a revolute, it's just rigid. And then press position. I just want to adjust it a little bit because it's not right in the center. And now is how I use the arrows to make sure it's the center. Now these two are glued. Now I have to put this back on here. So how do you do that? Again, go to joint and say I want to select this object, and the component 2 will be this object. And then I want to go to motion tab and make sure that it's revolute, and press OK. So I can see that the wheel is spinning, but it's spinning a little bit wild. So let me just adjust that. So when I select assemble on the joint, I'm gonna select this center point. Control select the center point, and then go here. Yeah, now it's better, right center to center. So it will select that like that. Okay, now your components, most of your components are done. Let's stop here, and we'll pick it up on the next step.